Canelo defeats Danny Jacobs to defend his middleweight championship. We break down the judges' scorecards next. Please like and subscribe. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Leave us a comment below. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Morning Champion. Great night last night for boxing. Did really well on the zone. Canelo was trending all night on social media. The Zone apps was one of the most downloaded apps of the week. Really great week for boxing. A great weekend for Canelo and Jacobs. We want to get into that. So Canelo took a unanimous decision. 116-112 on one scorecard, 115-113 on the other two. I had no real problem with those scorecards. Scorecards are fine. I think anywhere from 8-4 Canelo to 7-5 Danny Jacobs are reasonable scorecards. I think there were a bunch of close rounds. Again, this was a highly competitive fight. It really was. This was highly competitive. I had it even. We had it 114-114. It really comes down to how you scored the early rounds. Because I think, well, no, we'll go over the scorecards. Because two of the three judges scored at 115, two of the judges, the two that scored at 115, 113 for Canelo, both scored the 12th round for Danny Jacobs, which seems a little odd, to say the least. That seemed like clearly Canelo round, but there seems to be some, there's some consistency in the scorecards. Again, I was very critical of Dave Moretti. His scorecard was okay. He ended in 115, 113. No concerns there. As did Steve Weisfeld. His scorecard was fine. And Glenn Feldman, who I think is the best judge, ended in the widest one, 116, 112, where he scored the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds for Canelo. That's rough. Say it was 5-0. I mean, I had it. None of them gave the third round to Jacobs, which was surprising to me. But I thought, 4 rounds in, we had an even fight. 3 rounds in, I think Jacobs was up 2-1. None of the judges had him up, which is why they ultimately had Alvarez winning. And look, again, the 115, 113 scorecards and the 116, 112 scorecards, they're fine. I don't have any problem with that. My concern is how they got there. Because if they didn't score the last... No one scoring the third round for Danny Jacobs is disturbing to me. That's concerning to me. I think the 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, you saw Canelo take control. What's interesting is they scored the 6 rounds for Danny Jacobs. So what I'm saying is I don't have a problem with the scorecards themselves, the total tally. What I may have a problem with is how they got there exactly. There are some, really strange rounds that they scored, but let's not get into that right now. So, look, Canelo probably did better work than Jacobs did. He probably landed the clean shots. He probably won more rounds. If you look at the fight as a whole, Canelo did more. When I broke it down round by round, I didn't get that, I got it even. I scored round 1 for Canelo. I'm sorry, round one for Jacobs, 2 for Canelo, 3 for Jacobs, 4, 5, 6 for Canelo, 7 for Jacobs, 8 for Canelo, 9, 10, 11 for Jacobs, and 12 for Canelo. That's how we had it. Again, this was really close. It could have gone either way, and it went in the way of Canelo, but I don't have a problem with this. Canelo is the superstar, and he gets to pick his fight next. He did really good work. He outboxed him in those middle rounds, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I only had him losing one of those rounds, the 7th. He did good work. Canelo is a master boxer now. He's got master head movement. His footwork is good. He's still a little flat-footed. I still think he can be outboxed by someone quick. I think Arislandi Lara laid out the blueprint on how to beat this guy, and that's why Danny Jacobs tried to go southpaw. I think what did Lara do? I think it's executing that, but I think Canelo's a vastly better fighter now than than he is when he fought Lara. So you're gonna have to execute it better than Lara did, probably, to beat him. And none of those boxers, none of the fighters at 160 are better boxers than Lara. So I don't know if they can beat him. Going off the Lara blueprint, they may have to try to come up with something else, and we'll get into that. Jacobs fought well, and I thought he won the second half of the fight, but he lost the first half of the fight. Look, this was a great fight. If you think Danny Jacobs was a top 3 middleweight, you probably still think that, right? If you thought the top 3 middleweights were Canelo 1, Triple G2, Jacobs 3, Canelo 1, Triple G2, Jacobs 3, you probably still think that today. Jacobs was right there with him. He was right there. I don't know if this was controversial or anything. I mean, most people think Jacobs won. I had it even. Most people had it either 115, 113 Canelo, 116, 112 Canelo, or 114, 114. So, again, there's no concern with that. It's just the judges' scorecards. The rounds that they scored for each fighter was interesting. I'll say that. Although I think when you tabulate their final cards, I think they got that about right. And it's going to be tough to get a decision over Canelo because you do see the close rounds go to Canelo. For better or for worse, for right or wrong. He's the star, so maybe he gets a lot of pop, right? Maybe it's the crowd reaction. The crowd, goes crazy for him. Maybe that has some sway on it, but he does get the close rounds over and over and over again. I haven't scored too many. I scored Canelo Triple G 1 for Canelo, and I had him beating Cotto 8-4. But other than that, all of his close fights, I've scored the other way. I scored Lara for him wide. I thought Trout eked him 114, 113. Right? I thought the second Triple G fight was a draw. So, and am I missing one? I think that's it. I think I've touched on all those close fights. So, he could have a bunch of losses. They've just gone the right way. I don't think, outside of the Lara fight, which he clearly lost, I don't think necessarily any of the scorecards are bad or bogus. I really don't. They were bad cards, right? Like 119, 109 over Cotto, which Moretti scored, is a terrible card, but Canelo won that fight. Right, he did. Canelo beat Cotto, so there's no problem with Canelo getting the win. Canelo Trout, there were some wide scorecards, but most people thought Canelo won. I scored it for Trout. I thought it was really close. I thought Trout, like I said, I had 114, 113 for Trout. I had 7-5. The knockdown makes it a 1-point fight. But Canelo always seems to get these. And maybe it's, the Michael Jordan effect. Michael Jordan got to push off. Michael Jordan got to carry the ball at times. Michael Jordan got to hook you when he went around you. And he got away with things. I mean, so maybe Canelo just gets away with things. And I'm not saying it's terrible and it was a horrible decision. It wasn't. I had it even, but I gave the close rounds to Jacob. So you swing any of the close rounds I gave to Jacob, you give one of them to Canelo wins the fight, and that's what the judges did. So where does Canelo go from here? He's the superstar. We know he can fight at 60 and 68. His mandatory for the WBC, who's been the mandatory now for 2 years, and which I've been calling for, is Jamal Charlo. WBC, if you're listening to me, if you're in the sound of my voice, this fight's got to get made. You got to call this number now. I want to see Charlo and Canelo, Mexican Independence Day weekend. We can do it in Houston. How about that? We can do it in Vegas. We can do it in Houston. It makes a lot of sense to do it in Houston. Canelo's already drawn really well there. Charlo's from there. I think it makes a lot of sense. Let's do Charlo, Canelo. Let's get that mandatory out of the way. Let's do that in September. Other than that, Andrade would be a great fight. And I don't think they want any part of Andrade. I don't think they're fighting him. That is stylistically too much a nightmare. That's the guy I think and could beat him. And his name isn't big enough. I mean, look, and I know what y'all going to say, and I agree. He doesn't have any good wins. I'm talking about Andrade. He really doesn't. His best wins are Brian Rose and Vanes Martirosyan. I'll call Vanes Martirosyan a B+ fighter and Brian Rose a B- fighter. Those are his best wins. I mean, it's not great. Now, look, Billy Joe popped dirty, so you can't blame him for that, but Andrade doesn't have the resume to put him up there, right? But I think he has the skill. I think he has enough power. And I think from the southpaw stance, I think Canelo struggles, and I think he can beat him. You saw Jacobs do well out of the southpaw stance. You saw Lauder outbox him from the southpaw stance. I think Andrade, with that skill and pop from the southpaw stance, has what it takes to beat Canelo. So they're not going to make that fight. I think they're going to try to get that belt off of Andrade, get it to someone else, and then have Canelo fight him. If you think about it, right, Munguia can go up to 160 and he'll be the mandatory, because that's the way the WBO works. If you move up, you become the mandatory to fight for the new weight, the new weight class that you're mandatory to fight for their title. I think that's what they want to do. They want to get that belt off of Andrade via Jaime Munguia, but that ain't going to happen. I can promise you right now. If Munguia goes up to 160 and they put him in with Andrade, Munguia is going to get taken apart. So, I mean, if Canelo wants to become the undisputed middleweight champion, it's going to have to go through Andrade. And I don't think they're going to make that fight, because it is a stylistic nightmare to make that fight. I think after the Trout fight, they didn't want to make the Lara fight. Canelo demanded the Lara fight. Oscar gave it to him. Lara beat him. Won probably 9 rounds in that fight. They gave a completely bogus decision to Canelo. And I think Will Further can say, look, there's no reason to fight Andrade. He doesn't have a following. He's not a big star. And he's all wrong for you. Just don't make that fight. Now, what's next for Jacobs? That's a great question, too. He's come up short against Triple G, and he's come up short against Canelo. You could argue he won both. You could argue really well, and more people than not do argue that he beat Triple G. He came real close with Canelo. Real close. He's right there. It's kind of like Danny Garcia. He's right there, right? He's right there. 1 round or 2 rounds. He's right there with the best fighters. Like Garcia was right there with Thurman and Porter. But he lost both of them. And Jacobs is in that spot, even though you could argue that he won, for sure, the Triple G fight. You could also argue that he deserved a draw in this fight. So if you can't, where do you go from it? He's not getting a rematch with Canelo. The fight wasn't interesting enough, wasn't entertaining enough. Although it was a good fight. A lot of people saying it was boring, it was bad. I thought it was a good fight, but it doesn't demand a rematch. So where does he go from here? He's got a lot of money due to him. Right? He's got a lot of money owed to him. And he's in a loaded division. Does he get a rematch with Triple G? It doesn't look like Canelo is going to give Triple G a third fight anytime soon. And he doesn't need to, coming off a Steve Rolls fight. So maybe they go that route, right? Maybe you get Jacobs Triple G Part 2, which would be great. And the winner of that gets to go back to Canelo. That's a possibility, because they have a lot of money. Eddie Hearn has a lot of money tied up in Danny Jacobs, and he really thought Jacobs was going to win this fight. I really, really believe that he thought he was going to win this fight. Now he's got money invested in Andrade. He's going to try to get Andrade to fight him, and maybe it can happen. I don't see it. I see Golden Boy trying to explore other options. I don't think they want to take that fight. So I think Jacobs goes to Triple G next. I think that's a real possibility. Or he could go up to 68. I don't know if he wants to do that. I think there's titles and there's fights for him at 168. I mean, I would love to see him fight Caleb Plant. Someone like that. I would love to see him roll the dice at 68. And he's big enough to do it. He's strong enough to do it. I think his power is respectable. I like to see him roll the dice there. I think there's a future for him in that division. I think he can become a world champion again in that division. A fight with David Benavidez would be great. I mean, there's a lot of options, a lot of opportunities for him to go fight in that division. But, let's see what comes of it. Neither of those guys, neither Jacobs nor Canelo, are going to be at a loss for options. I think that the best options, if Jacobs doesn't get a rematch with Triple G, his best option is to go up to 168, which it looks like he belongs. He looks real big at middleweight. He looks like a 68-pounder. I think it's worth it for him to try to get a title there. I think he can do it. I think right now, Canelo is getting better, and Jacobs is on the wrong side of 30 now. I think he's 32 or 33. He's not getting better. He can't beat Canelo, so he can't be the king of middleweight. So go chart 168. You can, Caleb Plant, and those guys are good, but they're beatable. So let's see what that looks like. I wanted to get into the commentary of the fight, which was atrocious, by the way. This was a really close fight. Like, I went over my score because I had it close the entire fight. And Brian Kenny, who I like, he's a great guy. I think he's pretty knowledgeable. I think he does a good job. Was absolutely atrocious. Sergio Mora, he gets worse and worse. He gets progressively worse in these telecasts. I originally liked him. He is now terrible. Brian Kenny, it's like he's replaced. Yeah, Jim Lampley used to always root for Manny Pacquiao. Like, this is what he's done now with Canelo. Canelo won every round. This fight's not close. Really? Because everyone watching it thought it was really close. Like, Brian Kenny is the only person that watched that fight that didn't think that fight was close. I don't know what else to say. Brian Kenny is the only one who thought thought Canelo had won that fight wide. I guess he's not scoring it. I don't understand. Or is he lying to himself? Is he just cheerleading? Because that was bad. That was a really close fight, really competitive. And it wasn't as bad as the cheerleading that Lampley did. Because Lampley will straight up, when Pacquiao throws a whirlwind of punches that all miss, Lampley would act like everyone landed on the button. Kenny didn't do that. He just kept telling us our eyes were lying to us and Canelo was steamrolling through Jacobs, which wasn't the case. I don't want to see that again from Brian Kenny. That was pretty bad last night. And he's had a track record of being good. So let me know what you guys think. Were you annoyed with it? Did you think the fight was close? And give me your scorecards. Leave your scorecards below. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please remember to share this as well. Help us get to 10,000 subscribers. For Sunday Morning Champion, from Texas to the world, this is 3D Boxing, signing off, saying thank you, and God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.